the ground shake.
Hey guys, back again with part 2 of the Isobaric box build. This one's going to be a long one, so hunker down, get you a drink, get you a snack, and let's get to it. Okay, I'm going to start with a template, and this template is going to be a hole for a plexiglass access. And I need that because I need a way to mount the subs when the top's attached. So I cut this piece out, and I need to test it and make sure I got the right size, fit my speaker through here. As you can see, I got it just barely big enough to fit that speaker in. So now I'm ready to measure my hole and get ready. I'm gonna double check everything, and then when I'm done, I'll drill in the corners and get ready to start cutting it out with my jigsaw. When cutting with this jigsaw, I really want to be careful because the straight line is very hard to cut with a jigsaw. So I'm just going to take my time and make sure that I've got everything lined up the way I want it to be. As you can see, I drilled out all 4 corners. That way, when I get to the corner, I don't have to worry about turning the jigsaw. Now it's time to use this rabbeting bit. What this will do is it'll give me a nice little pocket to set my plexi in and be able to screw it down. So I've actually lost the footage of me cutting the plexiglass, but basically I just used a plexi blade on my table saw and cut it, and then I took the corners out with a plexi blade on my jigsaw. So now I'm just going to get straight to the drilling. I'm using a step drill bit, which helps with plexi, it doesn't blow out the back. And as long as you take your time with this, you should have no trouble whatsoever drilling these. Now I'm going to lay down some speaker gasket, and I'm just going to take it out and measure it by eye and use my razor knife to cut it to size. Now I'm going to make sure and get every inch and corner. That way I don't have any leaks once I get this plexi in there. Okay, let's make sure this plexi fits now. And of course it's going to fit because I made sure it fit before I took this video. Now basically what I did is I left myself a little extra room and I just sanded the heck out of this to get it to fit tight in there. Now that we're done with the top, it's time to move on to the sides. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm trying to make some little handles because this speaker box is going to be very heavy on one end, and I want to make sure that I got something to grab onto. Now I could have used some PA style handles, but you know, I had this wood laying around, and yeah, I didn't want to buy any. Okay, now back to the top. Since this top is going to have a hole in it, I want to make sure and get this as dead as I can. We've already deadened the inside, but on the top I'm going to go ahead and use a little bit of sound deadener I have laying around just to make sure. And you know, if I have issue with this sound deadener falling off inside the box for some reason or another, I can use the plexi hole to go in there and remove it if I need to. So I'm going to put all this on there, and I'm going to see how it works, and I'll let you guys know once I actually test it. Now you might have noticed that I've left a gap on the end, and I've left about a 1-inch gap so I have enough room to glue this and screw this to the top on the box. So now I'm just going to trim the edges right here, and then I'm going to take my roller, roll everything down to make sure it's adhered. I'm going to give you a little peek inside this box here. As you can see, I painted white over this sound deadener, just to make it look a little bit nicer. My air compressor decided to crap out on me halfway through this project. So I'm gonna have to go old school and glue and screw this top on. This top fits pretty tight, so I'm gonna take my rubber mallet and get it in place. Then I can clamp it down and screw it in. When you're using screws in your enclosure, it's important to pre-drill all the holes so you don't get any splits or cracks, especially on MDF. The birch can handle a little bit better, but MDF, it really likes to crack if you don't do this. You might have noticed that I didn't use a countersink when I drilled those holes out. That's because the birch wood is very easy to sink the screws into. And I'm going to use a wood filler anyways. So I'm just going to go ahead and use the drill, torque them down, get them screwed so I can get the wood filler in there. I won't be using a whole lot of screws in here. I'm using just enough to hold it together for now, and I'm going to count on the wood glue to do the work. I'm going to be running a relatively small amount of power on these, and I'm going for SQ more than SPL. If this was an SPL build, I'd definitely be putting more screws in, but this will be plenty for what I'm using it for. So now I'm onto the wood filler, and I'm filling everything in. That way I'm ready to sand, and I'll be ready to finish this box out. Now the top's sealed up, let's move on to a little bling. Now I'm going to use these posts to pass wire through my box. And I've picked satin nickel because I think it's going to look good with the stain that I chose. So I'm taking them, kind of test fit and see where I want to get them. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my tape measure. I'm going to measure up my spots. And then once I do all that, I'll be ready to drill my holes out. Now it's time to test fit my post. Looks like it fits pretty good. Now let's take a closer look at this post right here. Now it's threaded so I can bolt on the back, but it's also got this part right here that you use to hammer in the wood, and it kind of holds it nice and tight in there. So once I get this box finished, I'll take my mallet and I'll tap it in place, and then I'll put my bolt in there to hold it, and it'll be nice and secure. Now let's get to the staining. There's a very specific reason that I use this stain right here, and I'm going to tell you that reason. It's because I had it left over from some cabinets I've done in the house. So yeah, I'm kind of cheap, I guess, but I really like this color, and I think it's going to look good on this box. As I'm staining this, I like to go with the grain, and even though it looks like I'm going fast, I'm actually taking my time and making sure not to get any of this on the ground, and especially not on the painted surface of the inside of the box. So it's going to take me at least 2, more likely 3 coats to get this the color I want it and the finish I want. So I'll coat the entire box, then I'll come back and sand it, and then I'll do another layer, and then I'll come back and sand it again, and then it'll start looking like I want it to. So I've got a few trouble areas on this box, and it's where I let the stain kind of build up towards the bottom because I didn't want it to stick to my cardboard. So I'm going to take this 150 and I'm going to see if I can't sand this down and get it looking the way I want it to. And yeah, it's just going to take a little elbow grease, but I'm going to sand it, and then I'm going to go back over it with my second coat and try to correct this mistake. Now that I've got this sanded, I'm going to take a cloth, wipe it down, and I'll be ready for my second coat. It took 3 coats to get it the way I wanted it, but now if that's done, I'm ready to install these posts. What I'm going to do here is just insert it, and then you remember the tip of it has to be hammered in, so I'm going to take my mount and be careful. Install this side, get them both in, then I'm going to take a wrench and line up the holes so that I have them in there properly. Now that that's done, let's get on to mounting these subs. So I had to recruit some help here because in this Isobaric configuration, the subs will be facing each other in a push-pull manner. So it's quite a task to get these mounted. Now what I'm doing here is I'm just putting my screws through here, and I probably should have made a little bit bigger hole, but this helped me in the end because since I got them screwed through like that, it's holding the subwoofer up for me, so I don't have to have my son holding it for me. But now here comes the tricky part, is getting all these lined up with the top sub. So I'm going to have to maneuver them a little bit and use a wrench and use a mallet and just kind of get them in place where I need it to be, and then I can bolt everything up. Subs are in, so now I'm ready to throw my leads in there. I'm using 8-gauge wire, OFC of course. I've already got it crimped up and ready to go. Now I just need to tighten it down. Now I'm just adding some wire tie downs to make sure that these speaker wires don't rattle around and make noise in my enclosure. Okay, that's sorted. Now I'm going to move on to the plexiglass top. I'm just going to pre-drill all my holes for the screws. That way I don't bust any wood out or anything like that. I just want to be extra careful, make sure everything's right. I've already got the plexi ready to install. I've sanded all the edges with 150 grit, and I'm ready to throw her in there. Now I've used these gloves so I don't mark it up, so as I'm drilling, I'm not drilling all the way down. I'm just getting it barely in there, and then I'm going to finish it with my screwdriver to make sure that I don't break the plexi or crack it in any way. Here it is, the finished product. I'm really happy with the way it turned out, and yeah, it's crooked in there. I just want to let you guys know that, and there's a reason for that. The reason is your boy messed up. Apparently I drilled the holes a little off center, so I decided it was better to have it a lot crooked than a little. That's something I could go back and fix, but for right now it's going to stay that way. So yeah, check out the rest of the box. I think the plexi viewing glass looks nice. You know, a lot of people don't understand how these Isobaric configurations work, so you know, maybe I can show people and educate them on it. Okay, that's it for part 2. I just want to give a big shout out and thanks to Savard Speakers. If you want to check out their website, it's savardspeakersystems.com. I'll leave a link to it in the description. Other than that, I just want to say thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, and do all that stuff.